Hello again, and welcome back to Lost in Translation. My name is Nico, and this week we are looking at the Torah portion of Shemot. Uh, Today we're going to go over my top 10 list of what you will miss if you only read the portion in English. All right, so we will start right away with number one. A new king arose over Egypt who did not know Joseph. First of all, how can that even be possible? We're talking about a huge event, something that should have been written down in the annals of Egyptian history for all to remember. A 7-year period of prosperity followed by 7 years of famine, and a leader who is wise enough to guide the nation through all of it. Who could possibly forget this? Who could not know him? Who could not know about Joseph? And this comes back to the idea, right here. A new king arose over Egypt who did not know Joseph. Vayeka melech chadash al Mitzrayim asher lo yada'a et Yosef. He didn't know Joseph because Joseph wasn't good in his eyes. Okay, going back to this idea, the partsuf, that the Pharaoh, the Perah, the evil mouth. I mean, he was no longer connected to the quality of Joseph. Okay, he was no longer. Once Jacob or Yesharkel, Israel, once that desire had died, and all of the remaining connections back to that desire, though the generation of his sons, once they had died, Pharaoh didn't have any connection to divinity anymore. He didn't know it. It wasn't part of his being. All he knew was his desire to use all the wealth and benefit from all of all that Joseph had done for Egypt without feeling any obligation back to it. Okay, number two. Caused them to live. Okay, so not only does Pharaoh no longer know Egypt, he also no longer appreciates the presence of the nation of Israel, of the Hebrews, right? Of the Ivri, the those who are from the other side, and he orders the how do the midwives, right? The Meliadot. And he orders them to kill the male children, okay? Because just like Pharaoh wanted to marry Sarah, just like Abimelech wanted to marry Sarah, they wanted to marry Rivka. They want to connect to the female part of Israel, and they want to kill the male part. And so we see that continuing here, that Pharaoh wants to maintain the female part of Israel because that's the part that gets all the good stuff. But the male part that is connected to Hashem, that's connected to the Creator through the quality of Yesharkel, that he wants to kill because it has nothing to do with his desire to receive everything. And what's interesting here is that that these midwives, Shifra and Pua, they don't just disobey or ignore the order. Instead, they enabled the boys to live. They caused the boys to live. They went out of their way to defy the order of Pharaoh. Number 3, Moses. Okay, so throughout this, once the midwives have enabled the boys to live, Pharaoh takes active action, and he orders the people to start throwing the Hebrew boys into the river. And in this environment, Yocheved, the mother of Moses, out of desperation, she puts her newborn baby into a basket and puts him in the river, and it comes to the daughter of Pharaoh, right? And she understands that this is a Hebrew boy, and she takes pity on him, and she wants to raise him as her own child, and and she named him Moses, and she said, "For I drew him from the water," right? Vayikra Shemo Moshe V'tomer ki min hamayim meshitihu, right? So the name Moses is connected to this verb of drawing up, bringing up, and this perfectly describes exactly what Moses does throughout the entire narrative, right? So the same word is in its root is connected back to, yes, it's connected to the verb for drawing up, and it's even connected to the word for Mashiach, the Messiah. It's all connected together. That this quality of Moses, that this quality of Moshe, to bring the people up out of Egypt, to bring them up the mountain of Sinai, to bring them up to the land of Canaan. This is something that we haven't seen before. Okay, and what's also very interesting is that if we read the name Moshe backwards, we see Hashem, right? So that this quality of being able to draw up, right? Where is he drawing them up to? He's drawing them up to Hashem. He is the reverse of Hashem, and it's right there in front of us. Okay. Number 4. There's a lot going on with Moses' early life, and what I want to take a quick moment to look at is the incidences, the narrative of, on one hand, Joseph, and on the other hand, Moses. And if we watch this relationship carefully, we can see how systematic the Torah is about the process that's happening here, how they're really mirror opposites of each other, right? Where Joseph is born a shepherd, becomes a slave, and he basically becomes the king of Egypt, a prince of Egypt, yet still a servant to Pharaoh. right? He is secretly righteous. He speaks to he receives messages from Elohim through dreams. He he justifies everything. He is completely content with Hashem's plan, um, right? Whereas you have Moshe, on the other hand, he he's a very public figure. He's born a slave. He's raised as a prince of Egypt, and then he becomes essentially a shepherd to the entire nation of Israel. And at this point, he's also a servant of Hashem, the opposite quality of Pharaoh. Okay, and he 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 contends with Hashem. He stands between Hashem and the people. He's a very different. He communicates with Hashem face to face, with open eyes, standing on his feet. There are no dreams here, and he experiences Hashem in a unification of the names in a way that Joseph is never given. Joseph is constantly talking about his experience with Elohim. He almost never talks about Hashem, whereas throughout the narrative with Moshe, Moshe Rabbeinu, we're constantly seeing that he is experiencing all aspects of the Creator in his discussions in his dialogues with the upper house. Right. So this is something. I mean, take a look at the narratives yourself. Watch how perfectly matched up these two characters are in the oppositeness of their stories. Number 5. Holy ground. Okay, so there is a lot that's gone on. Moses is raised a prince. He sees the suffering of the Hebrew people. He kills an Egyptian taskmaster. It becomes a known thing. He runs away to Midian. He meets his wife at a well, just like Jacob, just like where Rivka was found. I mean, it's a theme that's going on here, um, and he's shepherding sheep, and he sees the burning bush, right? And when he first hears the voice, right, he's told, take your shoes off your feet because the place upon which you stand is holy soil. They translate it here, holy ground. But what's important is that it's Adamat Kodesh. It's not Eretz now, right? It's not the Ratzon. It's the Adamah. It's a connection back to Adam. It's a connection, back to to the general system. Okay, so here with Moshe Rabbeinu standing on holy ground, it's he is being elevated to that level of Adam, where Adam could see the whole world from beginning to end. He was so connected to Hashem that he was one with his knowledge, and that's the level that through the matriculation, through the purification of the desire of Yishar Kel, through the Exodus experience, a purified Moshe Rabbeinu, a purified desire to draw up is reconnected to that upper force in the same way that Adam was connected to, but now it's an independent actor. It has the capacity of, of having a dialogue with the Creator while having a responsibility for an entire nation in a way that Adam never had because he was just by himself with his wife. Number 6, I have surely remembered. Moshe Rabbeinu is having this dialogue with Hashem, and of course, one of the famous parts of the dialogue is he asks Hashem what his name is, so that he can tell the elders of Israel who sent him, right? And what's very interesting here is that in many places this is translated, I am what I am, but that's not the verb tense in Hebrew, right? Ehyeh asher ehyeh, right? Translates, I will be what I will be. So you shall say to the children of Israel, I will be has sent me. So there is something significantly different between most English translations and what's actually being said in Hebrew here. The future state, it compels us to move forward instead of, the present state can have us content with where we are, right? But this point of I have surely remembered you. If you remember back to the previous parashat where Joseph tells us, and God will surely remember you. Elohim will surely remember you. Well, we have that exact language being used again by Hashem, that you will tell them that Pekod Pekadati, right? Okay, except that here it's in the past tense, right? That Hashem is telling him that I have surely remembered you and what is being done to you in Egypt, right? So this kind of prophetic statement, this is supposed to call back again to Joseph, so that the elders will know that this is really the deliverer who has come to take us out of the land of Egypt, and not just some pretender. Okay, next, number 7. The staff snake. Okay, so again, we're seeing that Moshe Rabbeinu, unlike Noah, who just obeys, builds an ark, he's more like Abraham, but in fact he's not. He's contending because he's protesting. He doesn't want the responsibility. He doesn't want to live up to the responsibility of his name. Right? He's trying to get out of delivering the people, because he's afraid that they're not going to believe him, right? And so this sets him up as an independent entity with his own will, opposite that of the Creator, opposite that of Hashem. And with each of his objections, Hashem has to, give him an answer. And one of the signs that he's given is that his staff, cast it on the ground, and he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent, right? L'nachash, right? This is the same creature that was the downfall to Adam, but now it's a creature that instead of being independent and deceitful, now Moshe Rabbeinu can grasp the serpent in his hand, and it becomes a staff, and it becomes a tool for support and a tool to help guide the entire nation. So if we understand that the nachash, that the serpent is a symbol for our egoism, we can understand here that the quality of Moshe has command over it. It's not the other way around. Number 8. He will be your mouth, and you will be his Elohim. He's given all these, Moshe Rabbeinu has given all these signs, all these things that he can do to convince the people, and he still doesn't want to go. And he's saying, I'm not good at speaking. I have this impediment to speaking. He has a problem with his mouth, right? He doesn't have the same level of desire in this part of his partsuf, the lowest part of his partsuf, to handle the function of drawing up these people. He has a lack of desire, and so he's finally told off. Hashem gives him a bit of a scolding, and eventually he said, okay, well, if you don't want it, your brother Aaron does, right? He has the capacity to be your mouth, right? He will speak for you to the people, and it will be that he will be your speaker. Yeah, well, here, V'hiyahu yihye lecha lepe, he will be your mouth, and you will be his leader, is how it's translated here. But in Hebrew it says, V'ata tihye lo him le'elehim. You're going to be as a God to him, is really what it's saying here. Now, it's not saying that, it doesn't mean that he's going to be doesn't teach us that Moshe Rabbeinu was like a God. But and that's why in the English translation, they skirt the issue. They give us this word leader so as not to confuse us. Because what's happening here is Aaron is the lower level. Aaron is the mouth. And Moshe is the upper level. He's the connecting part between the mouth of Aaron and Hashem. Okay? And so we learn in the study of Kabbalah that whatever the next degree higher than our current state, that next degree is Elohim. That next degree directly above us is as if it is our creator. Even though the creator himself is much higher, we feel that the very next highest degree is the creator, because that's how we experience it. Because we only have the experience from our current degree. And so anything that is above us feels as if it's part of the upper household and is directly attached to the creator, or in this instance, Elohim. Okay, number 9. Who is Hashem that I should heed his voice and send out Israel? Okay, so finally, Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron, they have an audience with Pharaoh, and they tell him, so said the Lord, so said Hashem, God of Israel, send out my people and let them sacrifice to me in the desert, right? And Pharaoh responds, who is Hashem that I should heed his voice to let Israel out? I do not know Hashem, neither will I let out Israel. Just like he no longer knew Joseph, he was no longer attached to this quality. Israel, Jacob, has died and has been buried in Canaan. He's no longer at all associated with Egypt, with Mitzrayim, right? And Pharaoh, the evil mouth, is sitting in complete authority over this state of limitation of Mitzrayim, and has no connection and no desire for Yeshar Kel, for a connection to the Creator. So obviously, he doesn't know who Hashem is, and he doesn't want to listen to Moshe, who is the opposite of Hashem. I mean, right? There's a complete disconnect, and so if he has no connection there, of course he wants to receive all the good that Israel has to offer in this state of limitation without having to consider any aspect of bestowal, any aspect of giving back whatsoever. Okay, number 10. But you did not rescue your people. Okay, so here it is. Things got worse. Pharaoh says, you know what? You guys are a bunch of lazy people. Get back to work. Not only that, but we're not going to supply you with the straw that's necessary to make your bricks. You need to go collect that too, but make sure that your quota of bricks remains the same so you have more work with the same level of output required of you. And I'm going to use this as an excuse to be even more brutal to you. And so here we go. We have this further example of how Moshe Rabbeinu is unique and separated from Hashem, while at the same time acting completely as Hashem wants him to. So he does everything that Hashem tells him to, and when things don't work out as he wants, he complains, right? He asks for more, right? So, and this is what happens right here. Since I have come to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has harmed this people, and you have not saved your people. You have not rescued your people, right? And so it just comes to demonstrate the independence of Moshe's will, and again, his oppositeness in nature to Yosef, who completely accepts God's plan and justifies all the bad things that happen. Moshe Rabbeinu, he's not justifying anything here. He's complaining. Okay? So we get this incredible picture of this opposite journey, this descent into Egypt in one way, and the complete opposite nature of the ascent out of Egypt. Okay? And the Torah could not be more perfect in the way that it describes this process. Now the soul is completed in Egypt. It is a complete and independent independent entity, separated completely and absolutely from its creator, no longer having any sensation of the creator whatsoever. And now in an opposite way, it needs to traverse all those levels right back up to the creator. And this is where the miracles start to happen. Because we know that it's impossible to exit our egoism. And we remember that a miracle is something that it cannot happen in the natural world. So when the miracles start to happen, we see the connection between the separated nation of Israel, the independent nation of Israel, and they're drawn through these miraculous events to come out of the limitations of egoism of Mitzrayim, away from the mastery of Pharaoh, the evil mouth that just wants to consume everything in the world, to follow its true nature of Yashar Kel back to the Creator, to achieve a connectedness and a oneness that is the entire reason behind creation. And this is what the end of the book of Bereshit and the beginning of the book of Shemot come together to demonstrate so clearly for us. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was interesting. Share with me any other observations you have. Like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you next week for the next portion of the Torah. Until then, be well.